Hi guys, how are you? We are nice and cozy today because we are going to be doing a Q&A. Now, I asked you guys to answer some questions over on my Instagram, so we've got a good amount to go through, some anonymous and some not, but I'm just going to jump right into it. But make sure if you're not subscribed or liking or have your post notifications on, do that now, guys. You don't want to miss all the fun things I have coming up this summer. Okay, zero organization. We're just gonna jump right into the first question. Someone said, how are we dating as single moms? Apps seem so draining. And now I was on the apps off and on for quite a bit. I had Hinge and Raya that I would use the most often. And I really liked Hinge. Hinge was like probably the top app that I liked. It is draining, and I feel like a lot of things don't come out of it, but a lot of people have success if they're using it like seriously, I guess. But at the place I'm at right now, I'm just not like in the place to be dating really seriously. I'm kind of just at a phase where I just want to be finding myself and having fun. So I didn't take it that seriously when I was on the apps. It was more for like exploration and kind of just getting my toes wet, getting back out there, if you will, after my divorce. So it depends if you mean like, how are we seriously dating or how are we having fun dating casually? Because I'm not really into the serious at the very moment. So casually, I like to go out. It's really fun to meet people just like in person at a bar or something. But yeah, there's not like a ton of first dates that I'm going on. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, Michelle says, I've seen that you had a weight loss journey. Any tips? Not a workout and diet, but more things you noticed that helped as a plus size girly. Currently on my journey, and people always say diet and exercise, but that doesn't help sometimes. Also, how is it making new friends as an adult? I'm an introvert and have like 2 friends. So, I definitely, about a year ago, I started going to the gym, and guys, this might be a little bit of tea, and I'm going to be so honest with you about what happened kind of like mentally for me, because I've always been so confident in my body, and especially after having kids, even though I gained weight, I gained confidence as well. And I don't know if any other moms can like relate to that, but having kids made me so in love with my body and feel so confident about the belly and the stretch marks and just the way I looked. I only look back now and I'm like, oh, I guess I was big, but at the time, I had no clue. But so I started going to the gym, and I think the real reason why is because I got offered a huge chunk of money to try a GLP-1. And I remember I got the email and I actually thought about it. And for me personally, I've always been like against them. For me, like I've always been like, I'm not going to do that unless it's like a medical diabetes, PCOS, kind of something like that. And so I was like, wow, why am I really thinking about doing this brand deal for a GLP-1? I thought I was happy with my body, and it kind of made me reevaluate. And so I said, okay, if I'm interested in this GLP-1, how about I start exercising first? Because I mean, I don't want to like put down anyone, but the body type that I was going for wasn't what GLP-1s often are bringing, just because of the rapid weight loss. So I started going to the gym, and I did lose weight. I didn't really check the scale. Actually, let's be honest. I kind of checked it a little bit too much, but I haven't in a long time. So I'm feeling better about that, because I feel like checking the scale does not help me, at least mentally. I think it's better to just like wake up and feel better. And I do remember when I was really consistent at the gym, I was going like 5 to 7 days a week. When I was consistent, I felt so good. I was eating better. I was drinking protein shakes. I was happier, just all of it. I really want to get back into it, but life has just been so busy, which I know is an excuse, but that's just the reality. So I guess it's hard because I don't know if I really have that advice, but truly like wanting to get healthier, it comes from yourself. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I never got that offer for the GLP-1, if I would have started going to the gym. But yeah, I went pretty consistently for a good amount of time. But that's just kind of my weight loss journey. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about it, because I feel like I don't have good advice, because it's such a touchy subject and I don't want to hurt feelings. You know what I mean? And then the second question Michelle had was, how is it making new friends as an adult? I'm an introvert and have like 2 friends. Now, honestly, I feel like I've made a lot of new friends recently, and I would honestly attribute that to doing social media, because I have more free time and I'm making friends online that are in my area, and then we meet up. But I think, thinking back to when I was like a stay-at-home mom, or I had a harder time, or I was more introverted, because I'm very extroverted now, I realize. I think when I was in a bad relationship, I really went into my shell and I was very introverted, but now I'm way more extroverted now that I'm becoming like more myself. So I would definitely say like going to like mom. I don't know if you're a mom, so maybe not. Just like going to activities where you could meet friends is a really good idea. I've heard people use Bumble BFF. But I think if I was a single woman trying to find more friends, I think I would go, like, if you're in the area, there's something called girl therapy, or there's For the Girls. Both of those are kind of like events, at least in Seattle, in the Seattle area, where they put on really fun events for girls only, and it's really, really, really fun. I've loved going to those, but just finding things like that and like doing activities. Do you know what I mean? Okay, Bree said, is there anything you wish you could be doing right now if money, time, or travel wasn't an issue? I think that maybe just traveling with my kids would be really cool, because I think like the ideal for me, like as a single mom, would be able to travel with my kids, but hire a nanny so that I could have some breaks here and there, or obviously like have a partner who could help, you know what I mean? Or bring my mom along with me, my parents, and like have them help, and just like afford to bring us all on vacation. That just seems like such a fun thing to do, is like travel with my kids. But honestly, I am a very like content person. I've learned about myself. I don't necessarily, and it's not like a good or bad thing, I don't necessarily like reach for the stars. I don't like complain about where I'm at. I do a lot of like just being content in my space. Does that make sense? So I don't do much like big wishing of like me, because I'm like in an unhappy place. Does that make sense? Jeez, so much yapping. Okay, the next question is, what was the hardest part of raising 2 under 2? And honestly, I think it's like genuinely just not having enough hands. I remember when my youngest started crawling and my oldest was like 2, it was so hard to keep track of both of them. Or if one of them gets hurt and then the other one does, they both need me. You know what I mean? And so I'm doing a lot of this, a lot of one in one arm, one in the other, one gets one knee, one gets the other, but they're fighting. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not easy, and I wish I could like duplicate myself, because they don't want anyone else. When like friends, family, anyone, they usually, especially for comfort, just want me. And so it's definitely hard to kind of like split my time, especially like bedtimes and stuff like that. But I definitely figured it out. Like, you just get through it. Oh my gosh, the next question is, how did you and Mrs. Batty Rachel connect? In love with this duo, period. Me and Rachel, I've been following Rachel because she lives in my area since like 2015. And she finally followed me back a couple years ago. And then we kind of just started like being like the Spider-Man pose. Like, you and I would be friends. And so then I think we just started DMing here and there, and then finally met up. I think she started inviting, she has like these fun extravagant parties pretty often, and she kept inviting me to some, but I couldn't make it, usually because I like had my kids or something. But I finally was able to make one, and now we're just like inseparable. Okay, I got a lot of questions about if I'm going to have more kids. Do you want a daughter? Things like that. And this isn't like a really hard question for me to answer, because like I've always yearned for a daughter, and I do want more kids. Probably just 1, maybe 2, depending on just like finances and stuff like that, to be honest, and just like how much I can spread myself, and if my future partner wants 1 or 2, or if they also feel like they can handle multiple. But I do definitely feel like it's something that is in the cards for me. And it's funny, I've told this story before, but I remember all growing up, like middle school, high school, people would be like, oh my gosh, how many kids do you want? Like casually, you know, we're kids. And I would always say, I want 3 kids. I want to have 2 boys and then have a gap and then have a girl. And it's so weird that I feel like I just like knew in my heart that that was what was going to happen. Now, if I end up having a boy, no problem. I'm going to be happy, obviously. Like a new human, a new life, a new baby is awesome. And I'll be happy either way. But it's weird that this life of me being a single mom and having 2 kids, and then I mean my youngest is almost 3, so that is gonna be a gap no matter when I get pregnant. And so it would be like almost 4+ years if I got pregnant right now, which I'm not planning it anytime soon, obviously, because I'm literally single. But I feel like I kind of just like manifested or just like knew in my heart that that's what was going to happen. So if I end up having a girl, I'm going to freak out and be like, I'm psychic. I actually knew that all along. This next question is hard to answer. It says, what do you miss most about being married? And that kind of goes along with one of the prior questions. And I think there's 2 things that I can think of right off of the bat. And one of them is just having that extra set of hands. Now, was I getting the help that I wanted from my prior partner? No. Was I carrying most of the load from in the house and with the kids and everything? Yes. But I think just having that extra set of hands that the kids pretty much like I was definitely a primary parent. I was a stay-at-home mom, so it kind of comes with the territory. But just having that extra set of hands that the kids love pretty equally was really helpful. Like they could also get a hug from dad and feel better. They get a hug from mom and feel better. So that was really nice. Oh, dual income? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I miss dual income. Oh, sometimes I think back to the times. Sometimes I do. Okay. But the other thing that I think about a lot that I miss is having someone that comes home and you could kind of equally be excited about something that happened with your kids. Like this makes me really emotional. Oh my God. And I have that. I have that now with my mom and my dad and some close friends. I definitely have that person. I can be like, oh my gosh, they did this funny thing. Or, oh my gosh, they scored a goal in soccer. Or, oh my gosh, they made this cute art project. And it's someone who like equally is excited. But just having that like partner that you're married to that is so equally excited about things, especially when it comes to kids, it's just like that was probably hard, like one of the hardest things that I've realized that I miss. But it's hard because it's like I don't miss the person, I just miss that partnership or like that companionship, you know? Okay, so this next question is, how do you introduce your kids to someone you're dating? And I get this question pretty often, but me and my ex-husband, the kid's dad, have always kind of agreed that we would wait to introduce someone. And now it is court ordered that we have to wait 6 months to introduce a new partner to our kids. Just to kind of make sure that things are more serious than a quick casual date. Now, has that always been followed on certain ends? No. But yeah, I think when it comes to introducing them, I think it's smart to do it probably at a neutral zone, not at their home. I don't know. I don't know what the like actual like therapy advice would be for this. So if you're a therapist or you know or have any ideas or opinions, you can answer it down in the comments. We'll have a little discussion. But I feel like maybe meeting them at the park, something like that, where it's like somewhere where the kids aren't feeling pressured to entertain this new person, but they kind of see that they're, oh, like that's mommy or daddy's new friend and things like that. And I definitely think introducing the new partner as a friend, maybe saying a special friend or someone I care about. But my parents are divorced. I haven't really had to go through this because my ex-boyfriend at the time already knew the kids since they were born, and so I've never really had to introduce a brand new partner. Now, when me and my ex-boyfriend started dating, I like didn't have him around the kids for a long time. I think it was that 6 months, just us four, to make sure that they weren't feeling any type of way about it just being us four, because we had always hung out in a group. And so I think just being like extra careful and cautious of how your kids would feel. And if you are someone who had your parents divorced, please leave a comment of what you think is the best way to introduce a new partner. And I know a lot of you guys will probably just be like, don't until you're getting married, which good advice, honestly. Like, it's not necessary. It's mostly for convenience for you. So put your kids first. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Someone asked, have you ever once, after divorcing, thought about giving your son's dad another chance? And this is something I have never felt, to be honest. I've never once honestly thought that it would be a good idea to go back to him. I think it was one of those things where, like, I got out of a bad situation and I knew not to go back. And I think, like, a long time ago, before I even left him, I didn't have feelings anymore. And I think that helped. But we were together for like 6 or 7 years, something like that. Me like avoiding going, oh, like I'm not a child. We were together for about that long. And so I think maybe around year 5, 6, something like that, I stopped having those feelings once things kind of turned ugly. So I haven't thought about going back to him, but I know that's like a very common feeling. And I think distance really helps. It was really hard when we were co-parenting out of the same house. I remember just like having him around all the time wasn't helpful. And like, yeah, we slipped up once, literally one time, and it wasn't worth it. And so I think I just learned from there. I'm like, well, that wasn't worth it. So glad that I'm in the place I am, and then just move forward. Someone asked, when did you know you were ready to date? And I don't know if you necessarily feel so ready to date. I mean, a lot of people do, I think. And I definitely did, because I was just at a point where I was like, you know what? I want to get out. I want to experience. And I started dating my ex-husband when I was 19, something like that, in 2016. So I think I was like, 19. So fresh out of high school, first year of college, like, I never really got to be a young adult on my own. And so I was really excited to go out and like start dating and talking to people and things like that. So I think if you just have that desire to do so, then you're ready. Like, I don't think you should put too much pressure on yourself to start dating. I don't think you should put too much pressure on yourself to take it seriously. Some people date seriously, especially if you're a single mom, because you don't have all the time in the world. But I think it is nice to be able to kind of just like treat it casually if you do have the time, but I know a lot of people don't. How to improve self-love and care. Guys, this stuff means so much to me, and honestly, maybe I should just like have a podcast, which this probably feels like a podcast to you guys because I'm just yapping. But yeah, how to improve self-love and care. I think like it starts with self-talk. Honestly, I think when I started having like positive self-talk to myself, that's when things started changing. And I think I have a really strong brain, and I don't know how to explain that when it comes to self-talk, where I can, okay, like for horror movies or something, this is a random analogy, I can watch a horror movie and then just kind of like put it out of my brain. And if I would start picturing something that would scare me, I would literally be like, shoo, 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 out of my brain. And I would like not let it back in. And I'm the same way with a lot of like negative thoughts. Those like scary thoughts or visions or things like that would come into my brain, and I would be like, shoo, shoo. And I would literally push it away and think about something else. Like, and so if I'm like, oh my God, I feel so ugly today, which I do sometimes. Obviously, we all have so many insecurities, things that other people can't see, usually things that other people can't see, but like being able to shoo that thought away, I think is really, really important. And also just putting time into yourself, which I know how hard it is to take care of yourself. I was not good at it, especially when I first had my kids, or money was tight and things like that, and time. But just like little things you could do at home. Like even my eyelashes are so cheap and just practice, and they make me feel so good, and I wake up feeling better. Or Getting my nails done, which aren't these so cute? I literally just got home from doing them. They're so cute for Pride. But just things like that. I know like press-ons are really cheap nowadays, so things like that where you can just like take care of yourself and have some self-love. This next question says, how do you manage work and kids alone? Now, I'm guessing this person doesn't know like my full situation, so I'm going to explain that my life as a single mom is very different than a lot of single moms, and also very different than my life as a single mom like 2 years ago. My life now is, I have a lot of flexibility with my schedule because I'm a full-time content creator. So my job and my work, like I have a management team where they get a cut of my brand deals and things like that. So I have that help with work. And then I have help where my kids go to like a daycare 2 days a week. So those 2 days I'm able to work. And then one night a week they go to my parents' house, even though my parents are out of town a lot. But like they are right now. They're in Tahiti. Isn't that so fun? Like I'm good for them. I'm so excited for them because now they're both retired. I'm freaking out. But very exciting. So they usually go there for one night a week, and that's like often a night I get to go out or have fun. And then every other weekend, Friday and Saturday night, like Friday evening to Sunday evening, they go to their dad's every other weekend. So is it 4 days a month? Yes. But is it help with the kids and is it help with my work? Yes, because I can get things done when that happens. So the question was, how do you manage working kids alone? I think a lot of those factors are super, super helpful in helping me manage it. And sometimes I don't manage it. Like sometimes I fall behind and I'm not posting as much as I'm supposed to, working as much as I'm supposed to. Or sometimes I'm not able to handle my kids and I'm having a hard time. Like, and I think a lot of social media looks like sunshine and rainbows when in reality, I'm at home crashing out. Do you know what I mean? Like I have really, really hard days as well, and really, really hard work situations or kid situations or relationships. And just like, we're also normal. And I think it's hard to remember that when we're on social media, just showing our highlight reel of our life. But yeah, I don't manage sometimes, but when I do, it's because of those factors that I explained. Okay, the next question from Heidi is, how do you afford to live life for real? This shit is hard out here, but you're doing it with 2 kids. I think that content creators, like get paid an astronomical amount for the work. And is it easy? Not necessarily. But do you get paid an astronomical amount for what you're doing? Yes. That's how I afford it. And also, I left my previous job last September 2025. So I did have 2 jobs for a long time, which was really helpful to kind of have just like a steadier income. And now my income is not as steady, but it's still helping me live and survive. And also, really side note, my home's mortgage is really cheap. And that's kind of why we really fought to keep me and the kids in the house, is because it's like less than an apartment, like a tiny apartment is in Washington. So it was definitely worth it for us to have me stay because the mortgage is so good. Guys, we bought it in like 2019, so before the big boom. Okay, we have a couple more questions on Instagram, and then we'll head over to the anonymous ones, which are going to be a little bit more juicy, so make sure you're staying tuned. Question says, did you have a trauma bond? I don't know why I can't leave. I don't think so. I think that my trauma came from him for the most part. And so I wasn't bonded to him. I think I was probably like bonded to the idea of leaving. And I just remember like when people ask like, what made you leave? Like, how did you actually get yourself to leave? And when I think about it, I think I remember really dwelling on, is my life right now, back in 2023, is it harder right now, or is the idea of what could possibly be in the future harder? I didn't explain that as I have before, but it was more like, can it get worse than where it is right now? And I remember being like, I rather take the risk and leave and deal with all that I'm gonna deal with but be free of these feelings or be free of how I'm being treated. So I think just thinking, is it worth it, that possibility of the unknown, if it could be like so positive. And of course it could get really hard, and it did get really hard, guys. It did get hard before it got better. But the freedom is worth it, honestly. Anya said, what have you done lately to make you happy? And I feel like I've never been happier. Like I have my dream job, my dream life. Like I am doing so many fun things all the time. I've never been happier. What am I doing for me? I feel like I'm doing a lot for me, and I do think that comes along with the freedom, is finding myself and being able to do things that I want to do. But yeah, that's such a sweet question. Love you, girl. Okay, now we're gonna head over to the anonymous questions, which I'm a little bit scared about. We have literally so many of these ones. Okay, let's jump right into these anonymous ones. Someone asked, why do you keep your boyfriend / ex-boyfriend anonymous? He is my ex-boyfriend currently, and I keep him anonymous because we are still really close friends, and having something and someone private in my life is really special. I've talked to a lot of people who put their relationship online, and I'm mostly thinking about like when we were together, why I kept him anonymous. And I talked to some friends who like had really public relationships, and their advice is like, I would never do that again. And so I definitely have really loved my choice to keep him private. It was private but not a secret. Like I was never secretive about us being together. I would talk about us being like me having a boyfriend and things like that. And now why do I still keep him anonymous? Because I don't know what the future holds, and I really like having that just like near and dear to me. But yeah, I hope that answers their question. Someone said, would you reveal your ex or like to keep him mysterious? I don't know. If you're confused, he is Marissa Man on TikTok. So if you want to go follow him on there, he posts with me as well. We do some fun videos together. But I think if we ever got back together, which is a possibility, to be honest. Don't tell anyone I told you. I think that maybe like down the road, I would show him, and we talk about it all the time. Like I've talked about it with him. But I think it would take something more permanent for me to like show him and be like, okay, this is like official. He's in my life. Like we're stuck like glue kind of thing. So I think that's what it would take. And that's what we've talked about at least. This question said, would you ever have more children with someone else or get married again? Now I already answered the children question. But would I ever get married again? Guys, I don't know. That question is so hard for me to even fathom. Because if you don't know, I just spent $80,000 to get a divorce. Literally, my divorce ended this February. And so thinking about having to even potentially go through that again. And now if I got married to someone, they wouldn't put me through that. Because this had to do with a restraining order and child support and all those things. But I think I would be extremely hesitant to get married again. So I'm not against it, but I'm not like jumping to it. But it would be really fun to have just like a little elopement or something. Like I definitely fantasize about something like that, but definitely not like a big serious wedding, I don't think. Someone said, if I like someone but I'm moving, how do I bring it up? I don't know if it's just me, but like, y'all, I just be yapping, and you just gotta tell the truth. Like, ask them to have a conversation and tell them how it is. I don't know how else to go about that question. Like, you can't just like wait to tell them. If it's like set in stone that you're for sure moving, you gotta tell them. And I think maybe if you like them and you don't know if they like you back, then maybe it's just like, hey, I really care about you, and this is hard for me to say and hard decision for me to have, but I am moving. Or if you know that they like you back, then that makes it really hard because they're probably going to be heartbroken that you are moving. Good luck. Sorry. Someone asked, does your ex pay child support or is it all on you? My ex does pay child support. Before we officially got divorced, he paid the mortgage. And remember, I said it was a really cheap mortgage, but it was still really nice of him because I went from being a stay-at-home mom. And so he paid the mortgage then, and then just being a single mom, he still paid the mortgage through that instead of paying child support. And so once that happened, now I pay the mortgage, but he still pays child support, and then he paid, which was way less than the mortgage, and then he pays part of, oh my gosh, my brain. He pays part of the childcare. So they go 2 days a week, and he pays his am I okay? He pays his percentage of the childcare, and when I say percentage, there's like the both of your incomes, and then whoever makes more pays more. So if it's not 50-50 unless you guys make the same amount, or if someone makes nothing and someone makes 100%, then they pay all of it. You know what I mean? So let's say it's like 45 to 55, that's then like a split. So he pays his percentage of their daycare. Now, I never had him, like, he never paid alimony or spousal support or anything like that. So he kind of put it into his paying of the mortgage when we were just like going through the divorce process. Any advice on how to handle a divorce? I have a toddler and a baby, just recently separated from my husband, and I'm so lost and hurt. Not sure how to navigate this. I am so sorry. I mean, that's exactly where I was 3 years ago now. Like, I was pregnant. I was 8 months pregnant, and I had a almost 2-year-old, and I was unhappy and going through a divorce. So I totally get where you're at. I do have my divorce story video on here that might have more insight, but I would really just say, like, lean on the people around you. I really leaned on friends and family. And if you don't have that, DM me and say that you were the person that asked that question, because I really want to be there for you, because I know how it feels. This question says, have you ever dated a woman? And if not, would you want to? Now, this is something that I've recently started talking about on my TikTok, and it was never really a secret. And I didn't really talk about it because I didn't want people thinking that I left my husband because I was bisexual or pansexual, which I am. But surprise, shorty, I am. But have I ever dated a woman? I haven't gone on like dates or like long-term dated a woman. No. But I've definitely had some experiences with some. I can't. But I'm definitely more into women for sure. Yeah. So I definitely would date one. Someone said, hi, recently started following after one of your videos about divorce came up on my feed. Thank you for showing that side of you. It's been so helpful. I do have a question. Did you guys come to an agreement between lawyers, or did you have to go to trial? So we came to an agreement with our lawyers and a mediator. It was a long process, very long process, and we avoided trial at all costs because we knew it would cost a lot of money. So I would really recommend mediation. And if you aren't sure like what to fight for in mediation, it's a good idea to have a lawyer. But if you want to really save money, then I would just like go straight to mediation. Okay, we're getting down to the last few questions. I've literally answered like I think every single one, except for bra size. I'm not answering that, you weirdo. Leave me alone. Someone said, is your ex and potentially you LDS or another evangelical background? Me and my ex-husband were Christian. I grew up very religious, went to Christian school from like preschool and kindergarten, and then from 1st to 4th I went to a public school, and then from 5th all the way into college I went to a private Christian school. And so I am currently not religious. I stepped away from organized religion altogether. I think just like my views of who Jesus was, it just did not align with the way that people in a lot of organized religions were portraying him or treating others. And so I've definitely stepped away from that. And I'm not sure if I necessarily like believe in God. I think that there is a higher power, but I'm not sure quite what it is because I'm still in like the deconstruction part of my faith, but I'm definitely very spiritual, and I do believe in like manifesting and the positive things you put out, you will receive back. If you put negativity out, you will get negativity back. I think things like that. But I'm not religious anymore, and I don't know if he is. Towards the end of our marriage, I mean, he kind of never was like super in it from the beginning, but I'm not quite sure. I don't really want to speak on someone else's religion, but we were never LDS, no. Someone said, what do you wish you could have done differently, whether it's being to leave earlier, stay longer, have children, but not officially married, any annulment over divorce? And I feel like, if I remember correctly, was ours an annulment because it was such a short marriage? I don't know. I think we were married for like 4 years, so I don't think that was an annulment. I think it's so hard to be like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm very content in my life a lot of times, and so I would never wish things differently because I'm so happy with where I'm at right now. But I mean, of course, I would have saved so much money if I never got married, but I could have never really told myself that as a young woman. I think I was like 22 or 23 when I got married. So I think the things that I would change was not get married so young, but like in our religion, it was very normal to do a ring before spring. Like in our college, like you just find someone and that's who you pick, and you get married and you have kids. Like it was very much regimented. I genuinely didn't really know that there was other ways I could really go about life. I didn't know I could date women and be with a woman. I didn't know it was okay to not get married right away. I didn't know I could date someone for 5+ years. It was just very normalized, I think, to do things quickly. And so even when he proposed to me 3 years after we got married 3 years. So it was like 2.5 years into dating that we got engaged. I didn't know that it was like a thing that we could even possibly wait longer than that. I don't think I should have left earlier. I'm really glad that I went through therapy with him. We did therapy for 6 months as like marital counseling, and then we did 6 months of co-parenting counseling, because just about 6 months into it, I was like, hey, so nothing's changing. I'm still unhappy, still getting treated the same way. And so, hey, I gotta go. And then we both decided to, well, kind of both, you know what I mean? We stayed in therapy just to kind of help with the transition, which I do think it really helped. So if I left any earlier, like when I first gave him the ultimatum in January of 2023, then I would have felt like I didn't give it my all. And so I would suggest that unless you're in like such a dangerous situation, that like therapy would just give them more tools to manipulate you, which happens. I would leave right away, go. But I am glad that I stayed that year. I think it was all of 2023, right? Yeah. I don't know. And kind of tested the waters. And honestly, going to therapy was very, very validating. Just having the therapist be like, hey, girl, this is not it. You know what I mean? It was very validating. So no regrets there. Interesting question. Okay, someone said, what qualities does your ex have that you were looking for? Are you still looking for those qualities in an ex partner, or has it changed with time and experience? I don't want to be mean, so I'm going to kind of avoid a lot of that question. But I think that I learned so much about what I want in an ex partner from being with him. And I mean, I'm trying to think if there's any that I'm still looking for that he had at the time. Probably not, to be honest. I just think time and experience, like you said, has changed like my way of thinking so much. And that's why I wish I did more like dating before getting married, of just like trying different long-term partners and thinking and like knowing it's okay to break up with someone and it's okay to date around and learn who you like. And I think at the time I didn't think it was normal to just casually date and date around and things like that, because it was just like very normal to just like find one person, that's your person, you get married, you know what I mean? And so I wish I had known it was like okay to date and find what you're looking for. But yeah. Well, now that I've been yapping for 45 minutes, I'm gonna end the video here. That was the last question. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and just hearing me yap away again. Make sure that you guys like this video and subscribe if you enjoyed it. But thank you so much for watching. If you got to the end of the video, which I'll be so impressed and you're like instantly my favorite, if you add some heart emojis, then I will know. That's how I will know. Or any comment, honestly. I'll be like, wait, oh my gosh, did they watch to the end? But yeah, comment some hearts or something. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have the best day. And thank you for listening to me yap. Guys, should I start a podcast? Because honestly, that was fun and I feel like I could yap it forever. But yeah, that's all. Bye, guys.